Namaste, my name is Anandi Shah, and welcome to another episode of Insight UK's podcast. As it is October, I'd like to remind viewers that this month is Persecution of Hindus Awareness Month. Now, if you were to scour all the major human rights organizations of the world, like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, ACLU, amongst others, in search of someone who, at great personal risk, dedicates their life to rescuing persecuted Hindus, you would expect to find Nikhil Chandwani's name plastered all over these sites and their social media platforms. But alas, you will not, for the reasons for which you will find out if you keep watching this podcast. Well, if the likes of Amnesty International won't sit down with you, Nikhil G, we certainly will. Insight UK is deeply honoured and humbled to speak with Nikhil Chandwani, a highly accomplished author of 13 books. He is a film producer, having become the youngest Hindi feature film producer. He's a TEDx speaker, travel script writer, director, professor, and research enthusiast. One would think all of that would fully occupy his time, but his greatest mission, his life's mission, you would say, has been to rescue Hindus from Pakistan, persecuted Hindus. In this past year alone, he and his team have aided over 50 girls and more than 100 Hindu families, literally paying for them to find safety and start a new life away from Pakistan. He has now begun to help provide financial aid to poor Hindus in Bangladesh. Namaste and Swagatam, Nikhil Chandwani ji. A very warm
Namaskar.
welcome to the podcast.
Namaskar. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for joining us. Really, it's an honor. It's for us to have you. um, let's just begin straight off. Why did you decide to do what you do?
So, I was a writer. I am still a writer. And the last book that I wrote was in 2018. I stopped writing because in 2017, 2018 time, I had written one article for Times of India on the history of Hinduism in Sindh. And I was getting a lot of readers out of it. And you had a lot of eyes watching it, reading it, and citing it on the Google Scholar wale pages. I thought this is the limit. This is the pinnacle where a person reaches as a writer, where people cite your work everywhere. But then one fine day, a Hindu from Pakistan approached me and he told me, he messaged on my Facebook. He said, भैया आप ये सारी चीजें तो सब जानते हैं. Everybody knows the history of Hinduism in Sindh. Whatever you have written is a secondary research which is readily available everywhere else. Because that's what non-fiction articles are all about. It's a secondary research, and I'm just using research from here, there, blah, blah, compiling it, adding some of the stuff that I know, some of the stuff I've heard from others, and compiling an article out of it. One second. Yeah. S However, when this guy approached me and told me all these stuffs and just brought me down and showed me the mirror and claimed that all the research that I have done is readily available, and whatever I'm trying to do for the community by writing history articles on it is nothing but a clickbaity, like activism kind of a work, which a lot of people have done using Pakistani Hindu wala tag, but nobody has done anything on the ground. And when I was shared with this, when once he told me all this, I questioned him. I asked him this one question कि bro आप इंडिया क्यों नहीं आ गए? 1947 the partition happened. Partition में आप इंडिया आ सकते थे. We are a product of partition, and my grandparents were from Pakistan. Pakistan तो था नहीं वो, it was India only, it was United India. And during partition they migrated to India. He answered saying people from interior Sindh were not allowed to migrate. They couldn't migrate in 1947 because there were no means for them to come to India. There were no means. There was not a single train running from interior Sindh. And once the border closed, from 1948 till 2017-18, when this guy approached me, millions of Hindus have applied for Pakistani passports and Indian visas multiple times, generation after generation, and everything was getting rejected. That's when I asked him, how can I help? And he told me the procedure of how to apply for a Pakistani passport, the visas, and the travel, and what are the amounts associated with it. I was a scared puppy back in the day. I was scared of sending money to a Hindu in Pakistan. I was scared thinking, what if I'll be blacklisted? What if jailed, arrested, tried for sedition? And I ignored his message. A week later, Op India shares an article of this guy's real sister being abducted, raped. She
Oh
was sexually
gosh.
exploited. She was abducted. The article is still there online. He left me a message a week later. भैया हम हार गए. And I still have those messages. I didn't have the guts to reply to him. That's where we decided. And luckily, I had a e-learning platform back in the day, which was acquired, and I had the money to spare, and I had the time in my hand because I just exited a startup, and I wanted to rest, relax, travel the world, have fun with the money that that startup gave me. Created a path where we shortlisted which regions, which areas in Pakistan have the most number of Hindus. When we were shortlisting that, we were reaching out to a lot of Hindu representatives in Pakistan, the young Hindu blood in Pakistan. They started sharing some very scary stories. So, three Hindu girls are abducted every day in Pakistan, according to BBC. An anti Hindu BBC also claims that three underage Hindu girls are abducted in Pakistan. And when I read that article, I was heartbroken. I came home, I spoke to my parents. They told me the reality of what happened to our ancestors before 1947. We also had seen deaths in our family, but we don't talk about it because no parent wants their son or their daughter to have that past trauma. I was hurt, I was heartbroken, and that's when we created a path. We created a proper path for Pakistani Hindus, the persecuted Pakistani Hindus who want to come to India. So that's how it all started.
Oh my gosh, what a story. Oh, thank you for that. That was very harrowing to hear, but I think it's important for everyone to know exactly what happened. And of course, yeah, it can take something personal to start that journey into doing the right thing. Um, so that's just incredible to hear. You were saying that you were worried that, you know, you could be arrested, you were fearful about what might happen to you. So this leads to my next question. So when the average person thinks about rescuing just one family or one person from a dangerous situation, or when you were thinking about it, I mean, there'd be so much to take into account. Like from what I can imagine, it's securing funding, getting a team, establishing connections, and having security. So how did you rescue the first family, and how did that sort of transform into what you do today? How did you kind of assemble that, I don't know, like the skill set, the you know, everything you'd need to rescue just one family from the beginning and
So
then
the
into
first
what you
thing we
do
did
today?
was research. The first thing that we did was research, and after researching for a month, we came to a conclusion that in Pakistan, the Bhil, Megwar, and Koli community Hindus are persecuted the most. The Bhil, the Megwars, and the Koli community Hindus. Then we realized a problem. Most of them are nomads. They are Banjara Hindus. Without a permanent address, how can you apply for a passport?
Yeah.
Nowhere in the world you can apply for a passport without a permanent address. And that is why generation after generation, they are suffering immensely. It's beyond imagination. We have heard stories of 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds being taken to a mosque, halala being done with her, which is, I can go unfiltered, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
So they are this 10, 11-year-old Pakistani Hindus from Bhil, Megwar, and Koli communities. These girls, they are raped in the mosque by 50-year-olds. Then they are tortured for 5 days Electric shocks are given to them. After 5 days, they are taken in front of a camera and they are told to claim that they are 19 and they are marrying this 50-year-old out of free will. And these girls, 10-year-olds, with that fear, that blankness, that give up wala situation in their eyes, they are looking at the cameras and they are claiming that they are 19 and they are converting, they are accepting Islam and that filthy 50-year-old bearded man out of free will. And those videos, all these videos are on YouTube. So the Bhil, Megwar, and Koli community, they didn't have permanent addresses. So for that, we created a web of privately held Hindu temples in Sindh. So back in the day, 1,000 years ago, we Hindu temple. There was a thing called temple economy. So temple provided the means of living for everybody. So right now, if you come to India, which are the famous saris here? Kanchipuram from a temple town, Banarasi from a temple town. So it was always a temple town which gave generational economic opportunities for everyone. So that temples, the privately held small temples in Sindh, became the permanent address for these persecuted Hindus who wanted to escape hell. So we created a web for them. So let's say a Hindu from Khairpur or Ladkana or Ghotki approached us. We send them to that temple. We connected them to the one of the head at the temple, maybe the priest or a son of the priest or brother of the priest. And these people help them have their passports ready, with temple being their permanent address, the temple land being the permanent address. Once the passport was ready for them, we helped them apply for the visa. So again, our work is to fund everything. We gave them the money, gave them the contacts. Once the visa is approved, we pay for the travel. And luckily, there's still a bus service from Pakistan to India, and people can walk the border. So I don't have to pay for the flight tickets. You won't believe it. It just cost 5,000 INR to rescue one person.
Oh my gosh.
Passport 500 रुपए में बनता है passport. It's just 500 INR for passport. Your visas are 1,500 maximum. Your rest is your travel. So it's 5,000 to 6,000 INR is all you need to rescue somebody. And these Banjara Hindus didn't even have that money because they never had the opportunity to earn, because Hindus were thrown out from all the jobs every now and then in every second village in Pakistan. And Pakistan is such a funny country that when we started the rescue process, there was a guy called Mia Mittu. He has claimed that he has converted 10,000 plus Hindu girls forcefully. That's a CV. Pakistani media has covered it. It's all over on Google. If you just Google search Mia Mittu Pakistan, you'll know about it. This monster who has converted 10,000 Hindu girls is right now sitting as a chairman of Interfaith Peace Committee in Pakistan. Even now, he's the chairman. So that was the sorry state that we saw Pakistan at. And 5,000 रुपए बस लग रहे थे रेस्क्यू करने के पर पर्सन, फैमिली का 20, 25, 30,000 मैक्सिमम. And that's just peanuts. And that's how we started funding it directly. I still don't have an NGO. And uh, I'm very lazy to register any trust even now. It's been 6 years. But the first family were when we were approached by a Hindu activist. So what we did was we created a web of Hindu temples in Sindh, and we reached out to a lot of young Hindu activists in Pakistan. So the best part about Hindus when they are in minority is that's the only time they speak up. Hindus in majority are always silent, but when they are in minority, when they know that they are next, they wait till that situation and then they speak up. So these Hindus, they became our source of communication with the families in distress. So एक family ने ये Hindu activist को approach किया. He approaches us. We fund them. Then they ask us, these are the other things that we need. उसके बाद इनका वीजा जैसे अप्रूव हुआ, we fund their travel. They come to अमृतसर, अमृतसर से दिल्ली, दिल्ली से जोधपुर, and जोधपुर में we help them rehabilitate.
That's just, I didn't think it would be, I didn't think it would cost that minimal amount uh
It's
to
just
save
peanuts, you know. It's
family. Yeah,
just
it's just
peanuts.
peanuts. I thought it would be much more than that. But I suppose the personal risk is hefty. I mean, have you sort of faced personal risk in doing this?
I
Or
have
maybe
faced
direct or
disappointment.
indirect threats?
Yeah, I have a fatwa against me in Pakistan of 10 lakh
Oh my God.
PKR, which is just 2.5 lakh INR. And it's a small amount fatwa that they had released. Then I have a FIR against me in Karachi. These blokes in Pakistan think they'll come arrest me in Nagpur. And um, it's scary for me, like whenever I'm traveling, if I'm going to an Islamic country, it's still little scary. So I avoid that. Other than that, there is no other personal risk for me. The biggest disappointment that we get is visa rejections and the delays. So Indian government has to do their due diligence. What if somebody is claiming to be a Hindu and he's a Muslim and wants to carry out some anti-India activity? So we have never influenced, never reached out to the Indian embassy in Islamabad to speed up anybody's visa process because it's the government's right to do the due diligence. But other than that, 197 families, 1,200 Hindus, we have funded completely from passports to visas to travel, even vaccination, because most of the Hindus didn't even get COVID vaccination. They were not even allowed COVID vaccination. They didn't even get polio vaccination. They had to bribe people to get polio vaccination in certain districts of Sindh. Not all of Sindh, certain small districts of Sindh. Yes. So this paperwork, all of these stuffs, that takes a lot of time. And the greatest disappointment is recently it happened. While we are talking, my eyes went to the message that popped up. So there's this guy called Sunny. He wants to come out in the open. That's why I'm naming him. They had applied for Indian visa. Uh, we funded it. It took 2 months for the approval, but between that, his sister was abducted. His own sister right now is with the kidnappers. And you know what? These UN ने ना क्या किया? अपने website में डाल दिया. It's there on the UN website. But that's the most UN is doing. I mean, putting up a link or a citation on your website against terrorist organization, it's the world's most funded human rights organization is doing. अब वो लड़का मुझे अभी मैसेज आया है कि आई वांट टू गो पब्लिक अबाउट इट. I want to talk about my sister. I'm begging him not to go public because he'll be killed, but he's not scared of it. He just want to sacrifice himself to expose Pakistan. So this is the sorry state. This is the greatest disappointment that we get. That पैसा तो दे दिया, वीजा का भी application लोगों ने डाल दिया. There's no approval. It's taking time. But वो time के बीच में ही you're losing out people. You're losing out Hindu girls.
That's just, oh, that's just absolutely insane to hear. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, that all that this major human rights, so-called human rights organization is doing is just putting it on their website. We'll get to a question about that later about the lack of visibility on their side. So just to give a bit of a historical context for our viewers and listeners who might not be as aware, why is it that living as a Hindu in Pakistan has become more difficult every year? At the time of partition, I think there was a certain amount of Hindus there, population, and that's just decreased drastically over the years to about less than 1%. So why, in your from what you've done, why is it that living as a Hindu in Pakistan is so difficult, and why are Hindu girls being targeted in that way?
So we have to go back to 1947. Why was Pakistan created? Why did Mohammed
Mhm.
bin Jinnah, why did he appeal for Pakistan? Why did he fight for Pakistan? Pakistan as a country, it never had historic significance. सिंध से तो हिंद आया है, इंडस से इंडिया. So the both the names that we have gotten, it's from Sindh only. But why did Jinnah demanded that place? He wanted it because he wanted to create a place for Hindu haters. Pakistan is united as a country. They are united against Hindus. It's not Islamic ideology. You have UAE where Hindus are very happy. You have a lot of Muslim countries where Hindus are living a great life. You go to Jordan and you are treated very well there, as even as Hindus. But when it comes to Pakistan, that country was created based on hatred for Hindus in 1947. When you go to different small villages in Sindh, you have mosques over there, and the Maulvis at the mosque, the clerics at the mosque, to show their power, they pick up Hindu girls. That's their show of strength, that they are able to abduct, rape these kafirs, and then sell it off. And they are celebrated. These Maulvis are celebrated. Me, like people like Mia Mittu. Mia Mittu is a Maulvi. Mia Mittu was a politician people voted in Pakistan after he publicly claimed that he has converted Hindu girls forcefully. So even the people in Pakistan, since most of them hate Hindus so much, they all are united against hatred for us. And that is why the population, I mean, 26%, 20%, 15%, 10%, 5%, right now less than 1.5%. So converted, killed, even the men are not safe there, the Hindu men. So, and this little discrimination these Hindus get. There's a Hindu uncle. His son is in third grade in Pakistan. He topped his class, but he was given the fourth rank because he's a Hindu. So that discrimination starts from there. And it goes up to killings, abductions, sexual exploitation, and whatnot.
Again, very harrowing stuff. You mentioned that in the way that Hindus live in other Islamic nations is actually they live a really good quality of life. But then you also said that in well, then in Pakistan, like you said, the intention is to fester as much Hindu hatred as possible, and that comes from that central tenet of killing the infidels and
Yes.
conquering them. Of course, that is a central tenet to their faith. So why isn't it that you see that happening in other Islamic nations where Hindus are living more prosperously? I mean, is there that integral part of their faith is still there, whether you like it or not? So why is there such a difference?
The problem is not Islam. The problem is the Islamist ideology in Pakistan. So there's a big difference between Islam and the Islamist ideology. The UAE, even Saudi Arabia for that matter right now, Jordan. So a lot of Islamic countries, they're very welcoming towards Hindus because they see the economic benefit of Hindus. Pakistan as a country, they don't care about the economy. They don't care about anything else. They don't even care about the happiness index or uh, how people are living over there. Uh, they only care about how they can create more Hindu hatred because that's what unites their people. That's their politics. That's their religious ideology. That's their national integration. Hindu hatred. And similar thing is happening right now in Bangladesh. Bangladesh was East Pakistan, and I've always said that certain places, certain regions in South Asia, they are time bombs. And Bangladesh was a time bomb which has bursted right now. And the sad videos of what's happening to Hindus over there is just harrowing. It's extremely painful. But it was expected as well because, again, it was just East Pakistan. And they share the same ideology as Pakistan. And Pakistan was created based on hatred for Hindus.
When you think of it that way, it's just shocking. It's just more people should realize this. Just a country that's founded on the belief of hating others should be making international news, but
Yeah.
it isn't. Um, So essentially, this horrifying issue of older Muslim men targeting young Hindu girls. Um, that is something that we have heard about before in terms of what's gone on in Bharat. So, in the sense of what they call love or grooming jihad, and it's happened in other countries as well, I think. So when people say that, of course, you and I know, and the broader Dharmic community knows that it exists, but when people say, or when the international news outlets say that it's this kind of thing is just a myth or a conspiracy to target, it's an Islamophobic conspiracy. What do you say to that? Because if you were to type in love jihad, grooming jihad, Muslim men targeting Hindu girls, all that would come up is that it's just a myth, it's a conspiracy that unfairly targets uh, Muslims and attacks the Islamic faith. So, what do you
So,
say to that?
Anandiji, what I have come to realization is we cannot blame the media here. We have to blame ourselves. We have to blame us as Hindus. We are not united. And uh, we are backing the wrong people every now and then. We are just apologetic seculars, pseudo seculars who want to live in the comfort of our lives. We're just way too comfortable where we are, and we don't want to talk about these things. We don't want to back these things. You won't believe. Till now, I have spent around 70 to 80 lakh INR on Pakistani Hindu rescues. I floated the donation links 7 8 times. um, I have really good reach on Instagram. Still, I got like 1,05,000 INR or something out of floating so many links. And I don't want the money. I was not even looking at, you know, getting people to donate massively. I was just seeing the response of Hindus. I was just seeing the response of our Hindu community. And it's pathetic. It's pathetic. We are divided based on caste. We don't give a damn about what's happening to Hindus in Pakistan. Regarding the Bangladesh also, there was a moment on social media. Hashtag was trended. Some Hindu activists spoke about it at different events around the country. But couple of weeks later, now we have forgotten. We have just forgotten everything. So that's the sorry state of Hindus everywhere in the world, especially in India. And we are just blind and blinded by comfort, and we don't want to see the troubles and the plight of others. And this one person called Omendra Ratnuji. So he was one of the first person to rescue Hindus from Pakistan. He is a doctor based out of Jaipur. Even when I had a word with him, even he shared the same thing with me. And he said our community is divided. Our community is brutally divided. So we can't blame the media for it. Media will only write what what's trending, what people want to read. They'll just go with the flow. Now we none of us want to read about the plight of Hindus in Pakistan.
Absolutely. I think you're definitely right. So, come on, Dharmic Hindu community or just the Dharmic community, we need to rally together and share these stories and push for these media organizations to report the truth, the accurate truth. So I'm hoping this podcast will go a long ways into doing that. Um, we talked about before the sort of the very minimal response from human rights
Mhm.
organizations. So why don't these, and I mentioned some before, like Amnesty International and things like that, why don't these so-called prominent human rights organizations uh, publicize the work that you do and support that and provide links
Nobody
to
will.
that?
I mean, before rescuing these people, the Hindus, and even while doing it, I was never public about it till 2022, 2023, in fact. So 4 years I was very silent, and since I had to build a team, one second, yeah. Since I had to build a team, I was hell focused on posting all of these things online in 2023. But till 2023, I was very silent. I was silently working for this cause. And when I was silently working for this cause, I was getting good paid collabs, amazing paid collabs from everywhere. You talk about Spotify, Amazon, and they were paying me in like every month, every week. Once I started posting these videos, none of the brand wants to collaborate now because they don't want to risk collaboration with people who are religious and political. I gave my first TED talk when I was 18, around 12 years ago, and I have been invited everywhere in the world to speak about freelance entrepreneurship and business communication. Uh, However, once I started speaking about the Pakistani Hindu thing, and once I started documenting and sharing videos of the rescues that we did, no, everybody's scared of inviting me right now. So that ended. I traveled the world as a speaker back in the day, but then I lost it all because I started posting about the Pakistani Hindu thing online. The problem here is what I feel the NGOs and the people, like you spoke about the human rights organizations also, they love activism. They don't want to do anything on ground. So activism attracts viewers. Activism creates lobbies that will pay you. But people who are on ground, they're not as attractive. And that is why these people, these NGOs, the human rights organizations, they selectively talk against Hinduism. They selectively target our festivals and they want to ignore the plight of Hindus in Pakistan because for them to do something about it will include getting on ground and rescuing these people, which is a hard thing to do. The easy thing to do is sharing the Gaza videos and the videos from Rafah, trending hashtags, talking about narratives. I think all of that is BS. The narratives, talking about Gaza's. If I only respect those people who are on ground doing something about trying to change the system. And these human rights organizations, they are not doing anything. I mean, you see the Nobel Prize winners.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I mean, Malala is from Pakistan, right? She's from Pakistan right now in UK,
exactly.
having the best times of her life. She got shot in her head, which was a sad thing, and we all stood by her. She flew
Yes.
everywhere, all around the world, talking about what Taliban is doing, which we already knew, and she won a Nobel Prize for that. What the hell has she done to win a Nobel Prize? Nobel Prize should have been given to Omendra Ratnu from Jaipur, Dr. Omendra Ratnu from Jaipur, who has rescued Hindu girls. It has to be given to others, the countless others. We don't even know their names, but they are doing different work, different amazing, fantastic work on ground. But no, it won't sell a good story.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think we see a future Nobel Peace Prize winner in front of us right now.
not
Hopefully.
at all. Once BJP loses, I'll be jailed for I don't know what human trafficking.
Oh gosh.
Even though everything that we are doing is legal, all the paperwork, everything, we have never had a single illegal in India. But then once BJP loses, I don't know. It's I need to take asylum somewhere. I'll give you a call.
Definitely. Well, let's just pray that doesn't happen. I'm sure you'll be fine. Um, yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of virtue signaling with these human rights organizations, that they just care more about what sells, story that sells. And again, I think we as a Dharmic community need to kind of rise out of our sort of a colonized mindset that's been
Mhm.
ingrained in us from the thousands of years of colonialism and imperialism, and we need to we need to fight on the ground and fight for our stories to be heard. So hopefully that will change. Let's just take this to a more of an international outlook. Because whilst we don't see that level of persecution of Hindus to the extent that it is in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and in Bharat as well, in the broader international community, I mean, I as a Hindu girl, I'm not under threat by someone as my counterpart, if you like, would be in Pakistan, whoever she may be. And I pray for the families there. Um, there's still oppression to a certain extent. There are myths and lies and falsehoods being peddled, especially by the news outlets. And I would say our voices here are still not heard in that context. Recently, a London study from last year found that there's massive anti-Hindu hate in UK schools, which was shocking to hear. And it's just more than you think. So, like I said, there's just so much Hindu phobia, Hindu misia about Sanatana Dharma, spreading lies about Sanatana Dharma and Bharat in Western mainstream media and also in education systems as well. In certain countries, there's more, and in here as well, I would say there is also the Khalistani element too, which is another threat. So as we're in the sort of Navratri slash Diwali festive period, I mean, it's inevitable that we find that there are anti-Hindu attacks. I mean,
Mm.
last year, the year before, there were huge attacks in Leicester, and they occur more often. So, do you are you fearful that Hindu families might be targeted in the West or outside of the Indian subcontinent? And what would
Absolutely.
your advice be for us, for the NRI
Absolutely.
diaspora?
I mean, my only advice is whenever I've traveled to Europe, I've seen that we as Indians, we are divided as Gujaratis, the Marwadis, the Telugus, and we celebrate our festivals in the community. And our main focus always has been to coming together to celebrate festivals. And that has always been our main focus. But right now, our main focus should be to collaborate against these powers who are trying to destroy us, who are trying to kill us. So inside UK, your platform, it's an amazing platform that is raising. I mean, last year I guess the temple was attacked, and you all spoke about it. I saw so many articles which came out. So this was not. Couldn't even imagine this happening in the past. In the past, everything was just left aside, but now you all are talking about it, so I'm very happy. And keep talking and just ensure that we all, as a community of Hindus, the Hindu diaspora, we all are together in this. Let's not divide ourselves based on the language we speak, because everything was imposed on us. Right now, we have to all come together, not just to celebrate festivals, but also to fight against these elements which are trying to kill us. And we have to learn from Jews. We have to learn from Jews because they're doing an amazing job. They all are together against a fight. They might have different political ideologies. They might have different preferences in everything. They might even have different languages. You have Jews from Ethiopia, you have Jews in Europe, you have Jews here in Israel as well, even in India. Like I met a Marathi Jew community in India as well. So you have a lot of different varieties of Jews, but they all are together against this fight. So we as Hindus also should learn from them, and we have to come together against this fight. And last year, the temple attack, the aftermath of the temple attack, um, the only positive I saw was a lot of people spoke about it and kept following up. And that's what you all need to do, because people are your enemies, our enemies are only scared of media trial.
Absolutely. Yeah, we need to come together and unite and not be so divided and silent. I mean, Sanatana Dharma is such a universal thing, so why
Mm.
should we be so, separated?
Yes.
There's no reason to be. We're all about being inclusive and standing up for everyone and for each other. So we need to definitely unite. Yeah, and just as we are in this festive period, unfortunately, it's also become so commercialized that people again lose that sense of meaning of what it's really about. So that just goes on further to divide. So we need to unite to help each other. So now taking it back to you, what are your goals for the future? Because now your work is extended to Bangladesh. So how is that progressing? And do you have plans to work or spread awareness in other countries?
No, so my only focus right now is to help out Hindus in Pakistan. And a lot, 270 families have approached us in the last 1 month. And these 270 plus families have different horrifying stories to tell. It's extremely heartbreaking. Somebody has lost their sister, mother, brother, father to kidnappers, murderers, robbers, all Islamists, all different kinds of Islamists. They've lost their properties, they've lost their jobs, and they want to migrate. They're scared about starting a new life in India. They're insecure. Some people need medical help. There are 12-year-old Hindu girls who are pregnant in Pakistan after being raped, and they have applied for the Indian visa. We all are scared what will happen if once they come here. So all these things are there. So right now I'm focused on two things: to rescuing as many as we can, rescuing as many families as we can, and secondly, rehabilitating them. Our aim in the next 4 5 years is to create Hindu Malala. I mean, not Malala Malala, but somebody who is well read, who can speak well, who can travel the world and talk about her own plight. I don't intend to fly the world and talk about Hindus in Pakistan or Hindu girls in Pakistan. I want these girls to represent themselves. And we are sending them to good schools, and we are trying to mold them in such a way that they speak up and they're not scared of speaking. In 3 4 years, you will see a lot of our Pakistani Hindu refugee girls who would go travel the world and speak. And I really hope you all also invite her.
Oh, absolutely. We should be the first.
Yeah.
Well, these girls and these women will be the first people we invite.
Yes.
Hopefully that will happen. So
And that's
yeah,
that's my
wait for
advice
that.
to all the Hindu organizations also. Now it's time to stop inviting people like me, people who are just speaking about Sanatan Dharma, people who are speaking about the problems in hand. Because we all are well aware of the problems now. People who are not aware, they just don't want to read. They just don't care. People who care about Hinduism, Sanatan Dharma, and our people, our Hindus, they all know about the problem. Right now, we have to be solution oriented and we have to come together to work on it. And
Absolutely.
you have to host these Hindus from Pakistan who have suffered firsthand, because the stories that they have, we don't.
Yeah. You can't do it justice in a way. You have to hear it firsthand. I mean, I'm sure it's so
Yes.
traumatic as well for them to speak
Yes.
about it, but I think you're right, absolutely right. It has to be shared for people to
True.
listen and to take a stand.
Mhm.
Um, so just as a filmmaker, sort of question that's a little bit out
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
Would you be open to making some kind of a feature film about your work? And how do you think such a project would
So
proceed? Because we've had films
I
like Kashmir Files, Kerala Story. So do you think those films have kind of begun paving the way for film projects? Would you be open to sort of doing
so
that?
as a I was a producer 10 years ago of a film, and after that I stopped my career in script writing, filmmaking, and all of that. After that, I have been an entrepreneur in e-learning. I had a e-learning platform after that, and then I continued my writing journey. And now we have come up with a bio pellet factory in my city of Nagpur, where we are transforming eco waste, agro waste into coal, which is a replacement of conventional coal. And my focus is only on that right now, the business side of life, and in the personal service capacity, only focus is rescuing Hindus from Pakistan. One of the leading filmmaker had approached me recently that he wants to make a movie on this. uh, I am trying to connect him directly to a rescued Pakistani Hindu girl with a very painful story to tell. The movie can be based on that.
Oh, I hope that definitely gets off the ground. I mean, I'm sure
I am
we've
writing a
really,
book now, though. I'm writing a compilation of all the horrifying tales of Hindus and how they were rescued and what they are doing right now. So it won't be an emotionally draining book, because in all these stories, the end will have them in India doing something or the other. Recently, one of our rescued Pakistani Hindu family in Jodhpur, they started making croissants, and they're selling croissants and other bread items, bakery items to, the international travelers, the tourists in Jodhpur, and they're making good money. So these Pakistani Hindus who come to India, they are not beggars. They don't want to beg. They learn art, they learn business within 6 months to 1 year of staying here, and they rebuild their lives. And they're not scared of anything. They have seen the worst. When they are here, That one thing which was missing, freedom, they have it in India. And that's why I always say that people like us, we are so blessed to be born in this country, in this free land, because it's a land of opportunity. If you start something and if you fight long enough, you're going to make it big. It's a land of opportunity now, and that's what these Pakistani Hindu refugees, they are enjoying it. And a lot of success stories. There's a girl who recently landed a scholarship, a Pakistani Hindu. There's another girl, Pakistani Hindu, who was on Shark Tank. She raised $500,000, and she has a successful, fantastic startup. So yeah, they are doing amazing.
Oh, it's so great to hear that once they're finally in Bharat, they
Yeah.
flourish and they thrive as they
Mm.
should have been doing anyway. But unfortunately, yeah, the situation is what it is. Uh, so do you think that we'll ever see the day when we can openly discuss Hindu persecution on a global scale, and that major human rights organizations will finally help and the media will be telling the truth? Do you think one day that will be possible where we'll be talking about, in the same way that the Middle Eastern conflicts are you know, are put out there in the news? Are we going to see that same level of uh
I I'm not optimistic about it, sadly, and I want to be a realist here. And realistically, I don't think any media will talk about it. Meta, Facebook, Instagram, they're censoring us now. They're restricting our reach when we talk about the Pakistani Hindus. Even if we write something without any graphic video, they restrict us. And it's not just me, a lot of other accounts are being restricted. And this will continue, I feel. It's it's just we have to help each other now. We have to help each other now. And we have to create an economic corridor for all the Hindus. And once we have an economic corridor ready, we have everybody gradually coming out of the poverty, coming out of that insecure zone of how they'll have their next month's salary. Once we have that, we can create our own little community where we talk about the Hindu persecution. Because trust me when I say this, the world knows about it. Awareness is already there. Nobody cares. Nobody cares
well,
about us. We are idol worshippers for everybody, and most of them laugh at us. They love our food, they love how we dress, they love, I mean, they like how we look, but they hate our religion.
well, it's going to take people like us and Insight UK and all these other
Yes.
dharmic organizations out there to just spread the news and the content that other people won't, and to rectify all the wrongs. So
Mhm.
at least this is going some way to that. So thank you so much. That is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Nikhilji, for
Thank you
joining us. And
so
we thank
much. Namaskar.
you.
Thank you
Namaskar
so
for,
much.
oh,
Thank
thank
you
you. Thank
so
you so
much for
much.
having me here.
It truly is an honor, especially for myself. Thank you for graciously sparing some time to talk with us about your incredible work.
You you all are the first Hindu organization who have approached me for this podcast. So
Sure.
I'm very, very grateful for that. Thank you so much. And I really hope that we all can make a difference on ground, everywhere. And again, we are not here for money, or we don't need the donation. What we need is Indian government to speed up the visa process for these Pakistani Hindus. And if that can work out, that's all we need.
100% agree, 100% thank you so much. And hopefully the next person we interview about this sort of thing, this atrocious, horrible thing, is a first-hand account from someone who's lived that to
I'll
be able to,
connect you in the next 1 hour.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, okay. That's done. Again, thank you so much. You are truly,
Sure.
so you are truly
Thank you
making a
so much.
difference. Please do follow Nikhilji on his social media platforms to get some more information and awareness about what he does. Nikhilji, could you maybe remind our audience as to what your social media handles are or ways for people to get in contact with you?
So I'm only active on Instagram right now. At the rate Nikhil Chandwani is my Instagram. And if you want to see our complete rescue videos, you can DM me, message me, and I can share it with you. If um, I mean, if you are not an Islamist pretending to be a Hindu and trying to attack the rescued Hindu girls.
Yes, please be careful of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Do you happen to have a website or anything like that as well?
Yeah, I have nikhilchandwani.com. That's one of my website. And other than that, I'm not that active on. I'm only active on my Instagram.
Instagram.
I am happy in my private life. We run a bio pellet factory. We are about to start a bio pellet factory on 24th. So I'm extremely nervous, and that's
Oh,
just it.
well, we're sending you our very best wishes and prayers for
Thank you so much.
your development in that, and sending best wishes as well for your
Thank you
continued work.
so much,
Uh,
Anand. Thank you so
oh,
much.
thank you so much, and thank you
Yeah,
to our
Shreya.
audience. Thank you, Jai Shri Ram.
Yeah.
Thank you to our audience for also tuning into our podcast. Please visit our website, insightuk.org, as well as our social media handles for more information about our work and our podcast. Until the very next time, Dhanyavad, Namaste, Jai Shri Ram.